Well, hello everyone, it's Kevin here with Mobile DJ Remastered. Thank you so much for joining me here on my channel. We're gonna talk about something that is very important to me and I think will be very helpful for you. It's been helpful for lots of people, and it's the concept of strengths. And these are topics that basically will help you get insight into your personality, what makes you tick. Will also help you to think about how you can grow and leverage those natural talents that you have to get even better, whether that's in DJing, whether that's in your career, or any spot that you want to get better in your life, okay? So I can't wait to get into this topic with you. This is gonna be part one of a 3-video series. Part one, we're gonna talk a little bit about things like, what are these concepts of strengths? What are we talking about? Let's define it a little bit. Video 2 is going to be about the detail behind each of the strengths, okay? And then part 3 is going to be, what can you do with these strengths? Once you identify them, what can you do to kind of get in and deep dive into them, understand them, but then put them to work for you? Okay, please leave me any questions you have in the comment section below, or if you want, I'll leave my email also in the description, because this is a topic I'm very passionate about and would love to talk to you more if you have questions. So let's dive in. All right, we're gonna walk through a presentation, and I'm gonna leave a link to this presentation in the description below so that you can access it and look at it offline if you'd like. But again, this is part one of a 3-video series. So if you're here and you're starting, you're in the right spot. And we want to talk about the concept of strengths specifically for DJs. And I'm going to define it. I'm going to talk through it and sort of give you my thoughts on this topic. And also, I just wanted to make a mention that this content is very representative of the content I strive to put out on my DJ channel here called Mobile DJ Remastered. So if you love this and you're finding that it inspires you and that it can help you, please consider subscribing, because we're going to put out more and more content just like this. And we have already, if you check the back catalog of my channel. So this also, I wanted to say up front, this is content that I've developed, but I'm leveraging a product from Gallup, and it's called CliftonStrengths Finder, or CliftonStrengths as it's branded. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I'm leveraging something that is from Gallup, and you'll see as I talk about the background, you'll see what that means. Okay, so first off, I always like to think about, what's in it for me? Like, why am I listening to, Kevin talk about strengths? What are strengths, and really what could they give me or benefit me? And really, I think it comes down to 3 things for me. One is the strengths topic can give you insight into yourself, and it can give you insights into your behavior patterns and how you actually react to stimulus around you. But through learning about yourself, you can also learn how you interact with the world around you, and maybe even how other people interact. Another thing is growth. I feel that if you study strengths and you learn about what your natural talents are, you can focus your efforts to improve those strengths more rapidly than other people without those natural talents can improve those strengths, and therefore you can grow and get even better. So this is a neat topic to explore, because it's something that you're naturally already good at, and you can get better and you can compound your improvements if you focus on those things that matter most to you and that are most suited for your talents. Also, I think that studying strengths really just gives you more enjoyment out of your day-to-day work, your livelihood, your personal life, and really everything around you. It helps make life more enjoyable. And I know that sounds like a stretch, but imagine it this way. If you are able to wake up every morning and do what you're best at, you know that you're in the zone, and you know that you're doing it better than some other person could do the same thing. That's going to make you feel good, and that's going to give you that virtuous cycle of, I'm going to get better, and I'm going to do better, and I'm going to feel great, and I'm going to have more enjoyment out of life. So I think this hits on all 3 of these points. So if I'm talking to you about strengths, and I am asking you to go on a little bit of a journey with me here. So what are the costs? Because there's always costs, okay? Right now you're spending some time with me, and I appreciate that. You're listening to us talking about strengths. So think about the costs here. I'm giving you my time for free. Okay. So there's no cost from me. And I think it's kind of cool to just for a minute, if I can, tell you the why. The reason that I'm doing this is the reason I wanted to talk to you about strengths is really it's something that has been so impactful to me. And I want to give back to the DJ community that has given so much to me. And it's really the heart of Mobile DJ Remastered. It's why I wanted to start my channel, this kind of content. I also feel that I'm uniquely capable of giving you guys information about this topic because I've had a lot of experience with it in my professional career. So I have a lot of experience with teams and individuals talking about this topic of strengths. So other costs basically are strengths assessment. What this is a test. This is an assessment that you will pay Gallup for. I don't sell it or get any money or there's not a coupon code for me or anything like that. This is just, if you want to participate in strengths, you need to understand what your strengths are. And the quickest way to get to those strengths is basically to use the Gallup assessment tool. We'll talk about that in a minute. There's a couple different options, but I recommend it. It's only $20 and it's something that will unlock these strengths for you. You could probably listen to what we're going to talk about in this and the next video and derive or guess at your strengths. Certainly you could do that because I think that some things will ring true to you, but I highly recommend you leverage this test. It's not just about identifying your top strengths. It's also about giving you a little bit of custom information about you, because what happens is pretty interesting how certain strengths work together, and they'll be, you might have a strength, I might have the same strength, but because of my other strengths and the way they're configured, they're going to manifest themselves differently. And Gallup does a really good job of giving you a personalized report on how to interpret your strengths. So in any case, we're going to talk about the assessments in just a minute. There is about a $20 cost to that assessment though. That's one of the options. There's a couple others, but $20 for that. And then a little bit of time on your part to invest in learning about this topic with me, and a little bit of time reflecting and thinking through what are some next steps you can take to commit to that will bring your game up and level you up. Okay. So that's kind of the costs to you. Now, what are we doing here? We're doing this 3 video series as we talked about. The first one's going to be all about introduction and assessment. That's what we're doing right now. We'll talk about what are strengths, and I'm going to talk about the assessment itself. Video 2, I'm going to detail each of the strengths. There's 34 of them. So we're going to walk through what those 34 are, and you can kind of bounce through the video and find let's say you know your top strengths. You can bounce through and just listen to yours, or you can listen to all of them. We can talk about them. I'm going to try to make the content very interesting because I'm going to think about the strengths in the lens of a DJ. So we'll talk a lot about that in video number 2. Then video number 3 is a call to action for you. It's next steps for you. What can you do now that we explored strengths, now that we know your top strengths? What can we do to take you to that next level? And what are some ideas to get you on a track to improvement? And some of those ideas will also include some thoughts I have about your whole team. If you're a multi-op, or if you have a team, or heck, your family, and you want to take a group of people through this, no problem. It's very, very conducive, and it lends itself well to taking other people through assessments like this. So we're going to talk about that as well. So next, I just want to give you, in terms of an introduction, I want to give you a link here, and I'm not going to play this video, but I wanted to put this out here. This is a 2-minute intro video on strengths, what strengths are, and what the concept is from Gallup itself, and they explain it really well. So listen to this video if you'd like. Here's the URL if you have the video, or you can just simply type in, understanding 34 themes of CliftonStrengths. This will give you a walk through what the genesis of it, the big picture idea. But I'm going to go into that concept right now. So I always like to know where things came from before you start talking about what it is. Where did it come from? Where did it, evolve from? And it evolved from this guy, Dr. Don Clifton, here pictured on the screen. And this gentleman is known in circles as the father of positive psychology, the first to study what's right with people, not what's wrong with people. And I love that concept because so often in history, the psychology and studying human issues and those kind of things has been looking at, diagnosing problems. But this gentleman would look at the opposite and look at strengths. So he started to study this, and he began forming this name for himself, this reputation. And he founded the Gallup company. He actually founded Gallup because he wanted a place that could analyze, collect, bring in behavioral data for all kinds of reasons. But he just wanted this firm that could be a big data company. And he actually founded them, and they started to collect data for all kinds of use cases. I'm sure you've heard of the Gallup company, Gallup Corporation. And interestingly, after decades of researching some topics around things like great companies and managers and employees, they detected a couple themes and ideas. Things like, there are patterns that we're seeing that lead to success. And there are patterns that lead to other things. And there are various paths. So this concept of strengths comes from a lot of that research, and there are various public works that came out. There was a Soar with Your Strengths book that came out a couple decades ago, and then a book called First Break All the Rules and its follow-on, Now Discover Your Strengths, which was like a 1-2 punch that kind of really introduced the concept of strengths and some other great research from Gallup that came into the forefront and came into the business world, and people started to pay attention to strengths, and it kind of caught on. But reading these two large books, the first and now its predecessor, first and then now its sequel, really it was a little bit of a long road for some people, and Gallup wanted to make the strengths concept super accessible for the masses. So they made a book called Strengths Finder 2.0, and they published this book, and here it is. It's a small book, as you can see, and there's probably, I don't know, maybe 20 pages of text, okay, at the beginning. And the rest of the book is references. It's referencing the 34 strengths and gives you a little bit of information. This book is a quick read. Of course, the little front section, it serves as a reference guide so you can look up your strengths once you have them. But what's really cool is in the back, this is why, why you would buy this, in addition to the good little reference information, in the back there's a code, okay? There's a little paper, and you can get a code, and that code will give you your ability to go online and take an assessment. So this little book became a way of this unlocking for the masses. Many people could get access to this. Work teams were doing it. Individuals were doing it in schools and all kinds of things. There were lots of other works published: strengths-based leadership, strengths about your child, go put your strengths to work. It's the manager, which is leveraging strengths as a manager on teams. So many works that have been coming out of this concept over time. And I'll tell you, all of these books really just further develop the concept and help you put it into practice. So again, this is the genesis of it, but we're kind of like still wondering, what are strengths? What are strengths? Here are some points that will help define it. So first, strengths are derived from Gallup's research, as we talked about, into that effective management. What's right with people, and that concept of the positive psychology we talked about. So that's where it's derived from. Your top strengths, if we were to look at what your top strengths are, or what my top strengths are, really, strengths are what you consistently, productively, and naturally do best. Your top strengths are how you're wired, your quickest path from points A to B, which your path from A to B might be a straight line. My path might be an arc. Someone else's might be a curlicue. I don't know. It's basically whatever your quickest path from A to B, and we're all wired a little different. In fact, Gallup says it's part nature and part nurture. It could be a little bit of your predisposed wiring of your mind, how things work. It's a little bit maybe how you're raised and what you're exposed to as a child. But research does show that your strengths are kind of burned in during adolescence, and they don't really move over the course of your life after they're burned in. They might shift a little, and of course, because of some sort of major event or trauma or something like that, they could definitely shift severely or something, majorly. But overall, over time, they don't shift very much. So that's a very interesting thing. There are 34 common themes or strengths which are stack ranked for each person. So we've been talking about, what are your top strengths? You can actually see all 34 in a ranked order of how strong, how much of a strength those things are for you. And interestingly, I use the word common here, 34 common strengths. If you read the larger books from Gallup, you'll read that there were actually hundreds of themes detected and that the team found, but they distilled everything down into these 34 most common themes that they see. So it's really interesting and fascinating. If you're interested in this topic, you could really read a lot about it. Okay, so what about if you have a strength, are you automatically good at it? No, just because you have a top strength, it does not indicate mastery. And I like to think of like a Kobe Bryant, okay? Back when he was practicing basketball and trying to really make himself better, he would practice with intentionality. He would go out and practice, and I read that he would put a mark on himself to say, I must hit 800 jump shots before I'm going back in the house, okay? Or before I'm leaving the gym. 800 jump shots, I gotta hit those before I leave. That's a lot of intentional practice, okay? Think about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Somebody like that who has a frame that if you put in the time and you put in the effort, you can get bulked up and you can get big and you could be, a Mr. Universe, and you can be a strong man, but think about if he never lifted a weight, okay? He might have the potential and the frame to get bulked up, but if he never hits the gym, he's not going to get bulked up. Those are the kind of stories I think about when I think about a strength is not automatically a strength. It's almost like a theme that is aspirational. So they're aspirational. They're better called signature themes. In fact, in the books, you'll hear that term used more than strengths. I think strengths is just an exciting word that we can use to talk about this topic and get people excited about it. But really, they're themes that work best for you, natural themes. And if you use them, if you practice them, you will excel and they'll become strengths faster than someone that does not have those as natural themes. Okay, so just because you have a top strength doesn't indicate mastery. Strengths need to be developed, practiced, and empowered. So it's just like our little stories about Kobe or Arnold. We've got to empower our strengths. We've got to put time and effort into them. So about the assessment. So we're going to do this strengths assessment as I talked about, and it's pretty interesting if you take it online, because that's how you do it. You do it online, and it's timed, and it's timed because that first answer, that first thing that pops in your head is probably most revealing to getting at the answer that you need to provide for the test. So you don't want to try to overthink the answer. You don't want to try to overthink, what are they asking me? What if I answer this way, does that mean I have this strength? You want to try to give your top of mind response and your gut response. So there's that. You also, it's interesting that the mood that you have during the test is not shown to be significant. So it's okay if some people take a test and then they're wondering like, oh, did that skew the results? Well, Gallup says it's not going to be too significant in terms of an impact to the results. Also, some of the questions take you back in time because, again, you want to get away from the now. If there can be a fog of recency, there can be issues and things that maybe are impacting your thoughts today. But if you go back in time, you've had time to reflect and things sit with you for a while, and you can answer the best. So you might have you'll see questions that take you back to your childhood or teen years or whatnot. Okay, so the central idea here about strengths. We just talked about what they are and a little bit about the assessment that I'm going to walk you through. But really the central idea here is that fixing weaknesses can prevent failure. Oh, that's great. And that's kind of like what we always do with when we think about problems with human psychology, okay? We try to fix the weaknesses. And if you do that, you can prevent failure. And that's good, but that's like a really low bar. If you want to really have overwhelming success, you gotta build upon your strengths. Okay. So yes, you wouldn't want a fatal flaw in terms of a weakness that would be a tripping point all the time. But you definitely want to build on your strengths to get overwhelming success. That's the theme of strengths. And I love that idea of focus on your strengths. Don't only focus on your weaknesses. Okay. So the 34 strengths themselves are organized into 4 different buckets or different domains. And they are influencing, so strengths that help you move others toward action, some sort of action. Executing, you yourself push toward results, or maybe you inspire others to push toward results, leveraging influence strengths. But there's a results orientation about you. Strategic thinking, analyzing the world around yourself and thinking about how things interact. And then relationship building connections with others. These are the 4 big domains. And if you think about the strengths in the domains, there's a total of 34. And again, in video number 2, we're going to go in deep on each of these strengths and talk about them. But just to color it in a little bit and also give you a sense of why I believe in this research so much and how it's helped me and what made me really buy into this, I thought I'd tell you just about my strengths real quick. These are my top 5. Okay. Communication, which is the idea that I can put things into a story and I can think about what needs to be imparted as part of a message or what needs to be conveyed and be clear about it to my audience. Okay. So communication is one. Ideation, which is, I kind of think of this one as the popcorn popper brain. Okay. Like if you put a problem in front of me, my popcorn popper's going off. I'm thinking about ideas and I derive a lot of energy and excitement about thinking of ideas. Positivity is a somewhat infectious, sometimes can work against me, but it's a relentless attitude of, this is going to work out great. Things are great. It's sunshine and happiness and rainbows. Not really, but in some cases it feels like that. I feel very positive about life. I feel very positive about people and their intentions. And, sometimes, of course, I know that can go overboard a little bit. In my early life, I would probably overuse this strength, and I've learned to tone it down just a little bit because not everybody is sunshine and rainbows all the time. But so positivity is one. Maximizer. This one is the strength of thinking about going from good to great, taking things that are already really, really good and making them even better. And that's so well describes the work that I derive the most excitement out of. So I think about this channel, even this YouTube channel you're watching right now. I love to take folks, myself and others, and help them go from good to great and get even better. So Maximizer really applies well. And then the woo theme is about winning others over. It's kind of like a sales theme. It's about connecting with people and helping them to some end or influencing them or something like this. Okay, so I first did this top strength. I read all the books. I showed you on the previous slide. I read the first few books that basically tell the story of the research and build upon, this is where the research came from. And then I took my assessment, and I actually took the big assessment. We'll talk about it in a minute. And I got all my 34 strengths in a big stack rank order. And these were my top 5. And I was scratching my head. I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I believe this because, communication idea. I don't know. And where there were some on here that were not on here that were at the bottom of my list. I'm like, no way. I don't know if I buy in. So I have a conversation with the technical person that was leading us through the assessment and the material from Gallup. And I asked him, I don't understand this. Okay, first, I just don't understand communication. Okay. It's on my list here of top talents. And and that's why this butterfly is here. I still get butterflies when I'm going to speak in front of other people. I get a little nervous if I'm, even today, to this day, when I'm DJing an event or going out to speak in front of a group, or I have a big meeting and I have to talk to a crowd or a lot of folks on a Zoom call or something. I get a little bit nervous. Okay. I get a little bit nervous making these videos sometimes, and oh no, I have to maybe restart or refilm a part that I kind of get lost in my words a little bit. And when I'm writing an email, I might pour over it. I might spend a little more time than I would think a normal person would by, oh, that's not clear. Let me read that again. I'm not sure that's the best way to say that. Is there another word for that? All those things. That can't be a strength because it seems like I'm pouring a lot of extra time into it. And this Gallup consultant said, maybe you guys guessed where this is going. This Gallup consultant said, that's why it's a strength for you. The normal person is not, the everyday person is not, doesn't have those butterflies. They don't pour over the email and make sure it's right. And they just kind of say whatever and they just put it out there. And it's not something that is on their mind or that they're focused on. They're not thinking about what's the message? What are the key points? How am I going to relay this to someone? How am I going to make sure that they understand? That's not something that everybody's really tuned into. So, wow, that struck home. I thought, wow, that makes sense. I buy in now on that one. What about why? And I asked this technician, why and how could it possibly be that analytical is at the bottom of my list? There is no way this is possible. My job, I was doing process improvement work at the time, and my very existence, my daily work as I came in to the office was to analyze problems and find solutions, and I was really good at it, and I was doing really well in my career. How is this possible that analytical is so far on the bottom of my list? And then the technician said, okay, let's talk about that for a little bit. So this is why I have this baseball bat and ball here. He said, okay, let's imagine. So I'm from Cincinnati, here in Cincinnati. And he said, imagine, let's act like we're going to the Reds game. Okay. We're going down to the Cincinnati Reds ball game. And we're going into the stadium, and you walk in, you have your tickets in hand, you go down, you find your seat. Before you even sit down, what's that first thing you do? What's your first instinct? What's your first idea or activity or action? Okay. And I didn't even miss a beat. Like, I was there with him, like, as he was talking, which I think is a byproduct of the communication, maybe a little bit of the ideation too, because I was thinking of the story from communication and ideation. I was, what would I do? Any case, I was right there with him, and I could almost, you could almost smell the ballpark, right? When he was talking about it. And I was like, what would I do first? Well, I definitely would look around, and I'd want to see, am I in a section of a bunch of Reds fans, or am I going to have to sit with a bunch of, like, whoever the opposing team was, or do I have a bunch of enemies around me, so to speak? So I thought that, which, by the way, I think there's a little bit of woo, actually, that kind of idea, or maybe a little bit of positivity, connecting with others and getting excited about the positive outcome of the game, maybe. And then I thought, I told this technician, well, then my next thought would be, where do I get where's beer? Where do I get my beer or my food? Because, without a beer and, some popcorn or peanuts or something like that, it's just not a game, right? You need a hot dog, you need something. And so I'd look around and I would look for the food areas or the lines or whatever for the beer. So those are my first couple things. And this technician's like, aha, gotcha. You are not analytical at all. That's at the bottom of the list. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, look, the analytical person, the analytical mind, when presented with stimulus like a ballpark, will instantly start to think about things like, they will start to count the seats in the rows and in the various spots in the sections, and they'll start to wonder, like, I wonder how full is the Coliseum how full is the stadium right now? I wonder what the capacity is even. I wonder how many seats. And they'll start doing that calculation right in their head. They'll make sure that they're trying to position themselves so they can see batter stats. As batters come up, they want to know what are their stats, because they're going to think in their mind, I wonder if they're going to get a base hit or a home run or what. All these things that an analytical brain would think of that I didn't think of first off. And I instantly understood, and I said, but I just don't understand how this can be my job, and really I feel like I'm really good at my job. I get a lot of good feedback. I'm rising in my career. And this technician wowed me. He said, you're using Woo. You're using Woo. And I'm like, what? And he says, yeah. You're using analytical tools, okay, just to win others over. You want to go as a process improvement engineer, you take these tools, you analyze problems and processes, and you want to bring solutions to the table, and you want to win those other managers over. You want to win those directors over, and you want to share with them ways to improve their business. So guess what? Kevin, you're using Woo, and the analytical tools you're using are just tools. They're just surrogates. So you're not analytical as a person, you're more Woo. And that blew me away. It gives me a little chill just thinking about that, because it's so true. And it's basically got right to the heart of me. So those are my top strengths, and a little bit about what hooked me into this line of thinking and why I think this is such a powerful tool, and why I love it. So how do you get your top strengths? There's really three different options, I guess you could say, for the assessment that you can take from Gallup. The first option is to buy this book, the Strengths Finder 2.0 book. And I would go on Amazon. I would definitely buy it new, so you get that code in the back I talked about, because you want to get your own personal code. It's a single-use code. You want to make sure you get that. So buy it new. Don't buy a used one. Don't buy the ebook. Maybe the ebook would come with one, but I would just get the physical book. It's nice to have that. And, you'll find some good content in there. Actually, there's a section in the back, of things like ideas for action, but also, for each strength, they talk about, working with others who have this strength, which I think that's a pretty cool thing. Especially if you maybe have some blind spots about other strengths from other people. So I think this is the best way to go. And I got a little link here. If you have this PowerPoint, this deck, you can definitely click the link and get the book and order it. If you want to just go into Amazon and type this in, it's Strengths Finder 2.0, Tom Rath, and remember to get it new. It's about $20. Maybe you can find a little cheaper. At the time of this, I think I found a couple cheaper ones, but do that. The assessment is not long, by the way. It's maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes, something like this, and you'll get your report right away electronically, okay? The other option is you could skip the book and go right to online, and you could go here. I've not had experience doing this, but I know a lot of people have, and it's super easy. You just go on, you can click this link here, or you can just go to Gallup's website and look for the CliftonStrengths Top 5 assessment. That's $20, and it will give you your top 5, just like the assessment in the book will, and it'll give you personal insights. You'll get the same treatment that you will from the book. It's just that if you go this route, it's instant. You don't have to wait for the book to come. And of course, you don't have a tangible book to hold on to. Okay. The third option is to go after the $50 online test that will give you all 34 strengths. It will basically give you all your strengths in order and rank them. I don't think this is as valuable as finding your top 5 and working and understanding those. I think this is something good to do later. If you'd like to do it, you'll still get your top 5 and you can still get those same insights. You're going to get the same output that you would with just the top 5. But I think that the extra 29 strengths and what order they're in, I think that just clutters the air. I don't think you need to know that right out of the gate. So if you're new to this topic, I'd suggest going one of these two routes. And I really like option 1 because you get the book. Okay. You could go option 2 and that's fine too. I would save option 3 until maybe you, if you really like this, you really get into it, and then you could go after this. And it's, yes, I realize you'd be double paying and you'd be taking the test again. There might be a way to unlock the 34 strengths. I'm not sure. But again, I would say just go for the $20 option. Okay. Now, we have come to the end of our first video. Okay, so I hope that this introduction got you intrigued and excited, and I hope that you will, after this video, go and take the assessment. Buy the book, do the assessment, go online, do the assessment, get your top 5 strengths. This is going to be really, really important for you, and also for, as you come into the next video, we're going to deep dive into each of the strengths. And I'm going to talk you through just some ideas of what they mean, different things about how they might interact with our DJ lives. So when I would bring it into the DJ idea, bring it into the experience of the DJ and how each strength might manifest itself. Talk about some blind spots and then also how to improve on those strengths. If you have those strengths, what can you do to like feed your dragon, grow in that strength? So that's what's coming up in video number 2. Folks, I so much appreciate that you joined me today on this topic. I hope this is a start of a journey for you into this topic of strengths, and that it really, really inspires you to grow and do better. And if you love this content, please like the video and subscribe and share it. Share it so that your friends, your fellow DJs and others can benefit from this great topic, okay? Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.